Hello everyone, and welcome to How to Deal with Grief and Trauma, a podcast where on each episode we will hear from people like you who have lived through heartbreaking losses and traumas. They share their personal stories on how they have dealt with their grief and trauma and embraced a life after loss. My name is Nathalie Himmelrich, a grief expert and author helping people move from surviving grief and trauma to thriving in their life after loss. Together we will hear from the people who truly know how to deal with it, you. Come to learn and listen and be inspired by those who have been where you might be right now. Welcome to How to Deal with Grief and Trauma. A quick note before we get started. As much as I hope you will find useful information here, this podcast is not a replacement for professional support. Take care of yourself. I'm grateful to be here with you. The reason for this podcast is that I have been able and honored to listen to so many different ways in which people, my clients, have dealt with their challenges. It seems obvious, right? Grief and trauma are as personal and as individual as each person experiencing it. The same applies to the way we deal with it. I'm in awe of the resilience of each unique path I have been allowed to witness in my many clients' path, those that I was able to support in their dealing and healing with grief and trauma, helping them collect the skills they needed and find their own resilience among the broken pieces of their hearts. You know, in coaching there's a quote that says, change happens one conversation at a time. And so there's this one situation which is ingrained in my memory of a grieving mother. She was part of a course on understanding your grief that I gave, where I described the honor I felt holding my daughter just 3 days after her birth as she took her last breath. After that segment, the grieving mother contacted me and said, I never saw the fact that I was present at my child's death as an honor. For me it was always a burden. Until today. I didn't even know that it was possible that I could see it as an honor. Thank you for giving me that new perspective. Simply talking about how I experienced the death of my child allowed one other person to change the narrative of their story. Not by me telling them they should, but by them making a choice that they want to. This is the power of a conversation that might change the trajectory of the future of your life. This is the reason for these conversations. I want to invite people to talk about the way they have dealt with their trauma, their grief, the losses they have experienced, and how they have come back to life. This podcast is about hope. It's about shining a spotlight on resilience, on the places where healing is possible, without excluding the hard places and the challenging moments. Because let's be real, both are equally valid. So I'm looking forward to sharing these moments with you here on How to Deal with Grief and Trauma.